are reflective on the bright and relaxed coastal lifestyle. Order your Ocean Vita apparel today and use the Jock Journal Radio 20% off coupon code FISHJOCK. That's FISHJOCK with no spaces. Just one word. FISHJOCK. Order online today at oceanvita.com. Vita is VIDA.com. And get your 20% off before this sale ends. Stay dry and cool when you're reeling in your next big fish.
It's Tebow time. Well, I came up to Denver from Florida way, got a Heisman Trophy, gonna make them pay. Orton and Quinn went to the bench, covered in that loser stench. Might be a legend.
The legend of Tim Tebow.
Now, he ain't like Rodgers or even like Vic. When he beats your team, it'll leave you sick. Ain't got big numbers. In the second half, he'll kick your ass. Just do the math. He's a legend, all right.
The legend of Tim Tebow.
Now, he ain't like Jordan or even A-Rod. Some folks think he's the son of God. Pure enough to bang your mama. Pretty sure he killed Osama. He's the legend.
The legend of Tim Tebow.
He's the guy that gives your team the fear, get your woman's knees up in her ears. He'll start a comeback, won't even blink, and you just know his don't stink, cause he's a legend.
For you, don't sting, no pew.
Now, Elway don't want him, neither does Fox. I'll bet that guy's got a 5-foot He'll beat your team, ruin your life. When he's in town, he can my wife, cause that's what legends do.
Ho, ho, screw, screw, no joke.
Now, the Raiders, the Chiefs, it's all about the man with the swinging beef. Everyone loves him, he's the bomb. Hell, I'm pretty sure I'm getting turned on by the legend. You know he'll never give up the fight with the help of God and Jesus Christ. He's the cure for cancer. He'll save your soul all the way to the Super Bowl with the legend.
The legend of Tim Tebow. The legend of Tim Tebow.
Are you looking for the web's best sports news? Visit jockjournal.com. Sports media has lost its touch. It seems that journalists are scared to report what they see in fear of losing access to the teams they cover. At jockjournal.com, you get inside information on the entire NFL community without all the politics or fears other writers have. That's jockjournal.com. When you need the NFL sports news, information, opinions, fantasy football, or discussions, there is only one place to go, and it's jockjournal.com.
You are listening to Jock Journal Radio. News, opinion, and discussion for all you jock stars.
Support for this show comes from Material. Material is a simple and intuitive e-commerce platform that lets you get your online store started without paying a dime. That's right. No ads, no setup costs, no transaction fees. Experience a fresh and easy new way to sell online by signing up at material.com today.
Welcome back to the Sports Drive, where we give you sports radio that doesn't suck.
I think that I've become a little bit
Obsessed
with sports.
And you are cruising on the Sports Drive here on Jock Journal Radio for this Thursday morning. Or I don't know, maybe you're listening across the pond and it's evening, it's dark. We need to turn the headlights on. With Sean Mann, I'm Frank Sprankle, Nash Carey behind the glass. And before we move on, Sean, by the way, listen, we're going to talk about the main reason why I think a lot of people should be paying attention to this game here tonight. Yes, hard to believe there is a reason to pay attention to the Rams and Buccaneers, but tonight is a color rush uniform game. You remember the Color Rush uniforms? It looked like Christmas between the Jets and the Bills. The Titans and the Jaguars, they played a pretty mediocre. Well, actually, it wasn't a mediocre game. It came down to the last play with the Jaguars winning. That was a Color Rush game. We had one on Thanksgiving. Actually, no, what? That wasn't a Color Rush game because it wasn't. The Cowboys. Can you listen? Do you consider white to be color? I know it is, but do you consider it to be a Color Rush if it's white? I don't. It isn't.
It really isn't. If you go back to the Jets and the Bills game, that looked like Christmas, very like an early Christmas tradition because of the way the Jets and I don't get that with the jerseys either.
Deck the halls with the NFL. Deck the halls. Let me ask you before we move on, what do you think of these Color Rush uniforms? Nash Carey says he doesn't like it. Truth be told, I don't like it myself because I'm a believer that one team should have a color that isn't white and one team should wear a jersey top that is white. What do you think of these uniforms?
I think it's a joke. I really do. I think it's a joke. They should go back to the way the way every team has it on Thursday nights. I don't know if it's just becoming because Roger Goodell wants to make it a tradition. I just don't like it. Money.
Oh, come on, yeah.
Money. That's
hold
right.
On. Do it again. Money. Go ahead.
Money.
You stink.
Oh my
goodness. Bad. You have to do it this way, Sean. Money. All right, but you know what? I'm just taking a look at these Color Rush uniforms now, and look, we're going to get into Los Angeles here in a moment, but it's going to be all red as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are concerned. It's an all red uniform, and it kind of looks like the Arizona Cardinal uniforms in a way, and it's a gold uniform for the St. Louis Rams. It's all gold on all red here. Now, having mentioned that as far as the Ram uniforms, and this brings me to the next topic here. Personally, I do not like the Ram uniforms that they've had since after the 1999 season. From 2000 on, they've had the gold uniforms. I don't like those because you know what? When they were in Los Angeles and in the early years of St. Louis, great show on turf, their last game, they win a Super Bowl in these uniforms. I like the mustard yellow royal blue uniform. That is my favorite Rams uniform of all time and one of my favorite NFL uniforms of all time as well. Now, the question is, if they go back to Los Angeles, do they bring that uniform back? And that's what we got to talk about here, Sean. And by the way, if you want to get on this, what do you think about the St. Louis Rams? Is this the last game as the St. Louis Rams? Are they going to Los Angeles? Are they staying put in the gateway city? Is St. Louis even a good football town? Is it pure baseball? Give us a call, area code 405-562-5463. You can also text us your thoughts, opinions, 77948. Sean, all right, I've been to St. Louis pretty frequently in my life. And living in Chicago, driving down I-55, having seen a number of Cardinal games. I've been to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I've been to Busch Stadium, the old stadium as well. I've been there. By the way, I miss the old stadium. I really do. So many great memories of my dad and I going there to see Cup Cardinal games. And that's the thing. St. Louis is prominently a baseball city. Surprisingly, Sean, this is not a football city. It's not a football town. I mean, it was in 1999, but you just got to wonder how many of these people were getting on the bandwagon. Look, I understand the Rams made 2 Super Bowl appearances in 3 seasons. Greatest show on turf, 13-3. Kurt Warner comes out of nowhere in 1999 after Trent Green goes down in a preseason game against the San Diego Chargers in St. Louis. But the fact is, here we are, Sean, a good 16 years after the greatest show on turf. And we're talking about the St. Louis Rams possibly being no more. Think about this. Isn't it odd? Because shouldn't that Super Bowl, having them won the Super Bowl in 1999, having them get back to the Super Bowl in 2001, much less, shouldn't that have transformed St. Louis not from a baseball to a football city? Because you're always going to have the baseball following, but shouldn't there have been a great support of football as a result of what we saw 15 years ago?
I just think that if tonight is the final game for the St. Louis Rams, it's been it's like I've always said all along, that St. Louis would be the most likely team. The Rams would be the most likely team that would move back to Los Angeles. Why do I say that?
Yeah,
okay,
why?
all right, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I say it is because St. Louis is not an NFL city. It's not an NFL town. It's always going to be the Major League Baseball town. They cherish the Cardinals. They have tradition. They have 11 World Series championships. It's a mistake that even the Rams were put there from day one. It shocked a lot of people that here this team that was the LA Rams. I think it was after the 94 season or 95. And then, boom, they go to St. Louis. I'll remember it like yesterday. And I was like, St. Louis Rams. He goes, I always remember the LA Rams, the LA Raiders. And, this has always caused, Frank, a lot of what we call controversy here because of when teams have moved from years past. There's been a lot of teams that have moved to different cities,
Right.
to
That was
try
a case.
to get
The NFL had that problem 20 years ago.
Yeah, with the revenue and deciding, that's what the problem is. And so I just say that with the NFL, their decision that they need to do is that if St. Louis does play their game, the Rams are the most likely team to move. Raiders, maybe. Chargers, I don't think so. But I'm not trying to beat off the bush here. I'm not trying to get off the subject. But what I'm trying to point out and say –
this is part of the subject. Oh, come on, Nash Carey.
Yeah.
He is. Listen, Sean, man, this is the historian man. By the way, I'm the big one. We have nicknames. I'm the big one, Frank Sprankle. He's the historian man, Sean, man. And by the way, sometimes, Sean, when I listen to you, you sound like one of those guys that I would see on camera, maybe on C-SPAN, with a bunch of books on the shelves in the background. You just seem like one of those smart old guys that knows what he's talking about.
The way I look at it is that it can be frustrating to NFL fans when teams move. It's like, think about the time, think about when the Colts moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis. They packed up the bus that night and they moved out to Indianapolis and became the Indianapolis Colts. Think about the Browns. Okay. The Browns were a team that was there for a very, very long time, played at the old Municipal Stadium. Then they moved to Baltimore, and Art Modell was public enemy number one. I'll never forget that. I was 8 years old. I was a young 8-year-old at the time, and I'll never forget when that happened. And
I remember too.
Think about that, about the Browns. And then the Raiders, okay, Oakland, Al Davis makes the decision to move the team from Oakland to Los Angeles, and they become the LA Raiders. And they were there from 1982, and they won a Super Bowl. I think they won a couple Super Bowls in the 80s. They had Marcus Allen on their team, and Marcus was a great running back for the Los Angeles Raiders, and they played there until 1995, I believe it was.
94. Actually, you're right. The 94 season, they moved to 95.
Yeah, 94. And now the decision of possibly bringing back to football in Los Angeles. And you know what? This has been a situation that's been going on the last few years. This has been a controversial decision about doing it. The big questions are: would LA support a football team? Would the fan base be big? Would Hollywood actors and celebs do what they can to make sure?
Yeah.
But you know what? Like we've always said, Frank and Nash, there is a lot of other things to do in Los Angeles. I don't think LA can support the team. I think if Stan Kroenke goes through with this and he moves that team, the Rams, to Los Angeles, there's going to be something bad that's going to happen. There's going to be a collapse and with the fan base, and then it's going to come to the fact that they're going to have to move again. And then for the Raiders, they need to stay in Oakland. Al Davis would be rolling over in his grave right now if he saw this and he heard the reports that the Raiders are thinking of moving there because of the controversial decision with the stadium.
Okay, Sean, you're making some interesting points here, and you're really turning on a lot of light switches. You're opening up a lot of eyeballs right now because you're making some great points, and I want to elaborate on these points. I mean, think about the teams that have relocated in the NFL, and we can go back to 1984. Well, actually, after the 83 season, because that was when the Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis. Think about this. Yep. All right, think about this. Think about this. You have the Baltimore Colts, strong fan base, Johnny Unitas, a living legend, so many great years. The Colts leaving Baltimore to go to Indianapolis. Okay, let's in that time, we had the St. Louis Football Cardinals move to Arizona, which we now know as the first place team in the AFC West. But the fact is, look, outside of that move, that was not a big deal because football definitely didn't work amazing that they last 27 years, I believe, until the late 1980s. So let's